Welcome to the video, ladies and gents. In this video, we are talking about why it's better for you to be rationally thinking instead of thinking emotionally. Why it's important for you to be thinking logically, clearly with your mind, than opting for making solutions with your emotions, outbursts, etc. In this video, I'm gonna be going all over the place and a bit without a structure, but bear with me because I'm gonna be sharing a lot of things that took me some time to learn, maybe even trial and error, to learn all of these lessons, and I'm going to be sharing them with you in this video. So stick with me. The first thing that you have to do, or we have to do, is to understand the difference between being emotional and logical, emotional and rational. What makes a logical sense in your mind does not make an emotional sense in your heart. At some point of your lives, obviously, you're going to be making decisions with your rational thinking, but other times you have to be feeling sad, you have to be feeling happy, empathy, and all these things. But if you think about it, like all these institutions, even governmental places like court, do you really think that people are going to listen to your emotional outbursts of saying, I'm not guilty, or I think like this, I think like that? Of course not. They're going to be relying on evidence, and they're going to be relying on hard facts, on arguments. And those are the things which actually make you or break you in the real world. Emotions are more about being personal, empathetic, being a bit vulnerable, while rational is about get-go. I want to do this, I want to do that, that's the fact, that's the evidence, etc, etc. Okay, we're talking about hypothetical, theoretical stuff, but let's actually jump into the practical things. Number one reason why you should be rational instead of emotional is that emotions are like a mood swing. Emotions are not, you cannot rely on them. They are not stable. They just go like up and down all the time like a pulse. And if you don't feel good today, then probably you won't be doing the things that you promised yourself to do yesterday. So for example, if you made like a resolution to go to the gym, or maybe to eat clean, or maybe do yoga, do whatever. If you strictly rely on your emotions, guess what's gonna happen? Tomorrow, maybe it's gonna be cool. The day after tomorrow, yeah, again cool. But after a couple of days, blues are gonna kick in. Maybe you're gonna just feel bad, you're gonna feel dizzy, you're gonna feel lazy, hungry, whatever it is. And then if you just make decisions based on emotions, you might say, okay, well, you know what, man, today I'm feeling a bit lazy, I don't want to do that thing, I'm just gonna give myself a day off, and that's totally okay. Now if you compare that to rational thinking says, look, I might be busy, I might be lazy, I might be feeling any type of feeling that I'm feeling right now, but look, I've made myself a decision, right? I gave myself a promise. So based on the decision and with my logical thinking, my rational mind, I'm gonna go out there and do that thing regardless. Does this sound too ignorant and emotionless? Maybe. But hey, at times you gotta just show up and do this. Get up and do this. For instance, you're laying in your bed playing games, and then you're like, okay, I really need to go outside and do something. It could be any type of work that you have to do or meet friends, and then you're like, but I don't feel like it. That's where rational thinking kicks in. That's where rational thinking comes in and says, look, you told yourself that you're gonna do this, so you gotta do this. In a nutshell, rational thinking is reliable. Emotional thinking is not, because it's coming from your feelings, it's coming from the mood swings, it's coming from everything which is in a way out of your control. But what is in your control is you make the decision and you do it or you don't. Reason number two why you should not be emotional and instead you should become rational is that emotions make you vulnerable. If you think about it, like the word called ego, right? So our ego, where does it come from? Does it come from logical thinking or does it come from emotions? Why do we actually have an ego? Ego is basically you wanting to feel a certain type of emotions, you wanting to get a praise from other people, approval, validation, and you want them to praise you or you want them to say something good about you. Now that is emotional because you want to feel it, but that's not logical. The point is, if somebody criticizes you, instead of thinking about the situation clearly and talking about the arguments or maybe talking about what you could improve and what you could do or implement to become better, you decide to get offended or get hurt because it's emotions, because you don't want to feel certain type of way because somebody hurt your ego. And that's where emotions could be dangerous for you, because you basically put yourself in a situation where everyone can hurt you, everyone can say bad stuff about you, and you're gonna feel a certain way because you are not used to thinking rationally and evaluating the situation. Instead you're like, okay, he said something like that, or maybe she said that I'm not attractive, she said that I'm not good enough for her, well, I guess I'm not. Do you really think that stoic strong people do that? Think about the most successful, influential, stoic strong men in the world right now. Do you actually think that they're sitting in their home crying about some random girl or crying about some random comment that they read online or some criticism about them? They don't give an F, bro. They don't give an F on what people might say about them. They don't give an F what people might, like how they would judge or perceive them. It's all about me knowing my value and being okay with that. Being okay with my ego and keeping my ego in check. Number 3, why you should listen to your rational mind instead of your emotional heart is that you will have zero expectations from other people. Stoic people in general have their own vibe. They don't care what's going on with other people's opinions about them. Stoic people take responsibility for everything that's happening in their life. So if somebody said something bad to you, instead of blaming the person, which you could technically do, but you could also think about, okay, why this thing is happening with me. If you, for example, step on a scale and you're just too fat or you're just too skinny, instead of blaming the scale or instead of blaming whatever, you could just say, okay, what do I do here? Do I blame the thing? Do I blame somebody? Or do I actually take full responsibility? When you have expectations for people, for things, you in a way get hurt or disappointed. But when you're rational, when you are thinking clearly with your rational mind, you have zero expectations, nobody can hurt you. Everything is about you knowing your value. At the end of the day, you're gonna be saying, no matter what happens, I am responsible for it. Not him, not her, not him, not them. This is me against me. Another reason why you should ditch being an emotional bitch is that girls usually like stoic men. They like confident men. They like a guy who goes out there, solves the problems. They like a guy who is able to be a protection for her, protection for himself. They like a guy who could make her feel safe, make her feel secure. And look, if you're saying that that's Stone Ages, nobody functions like that anymore. Society doesn't need strong men. You're either delusional or you're a bitter guy who had horrible experiences with strong, masculine, stoic guys. The chances are if you're talking to a girl, you have to be able to handle the situation. And that comes from you thinking rationally, from you evaluating the situation, from you being logical. Girls don't like simpy losers who complain all the time and fight. Like, you have to have bigger problems or bigger fish to fry instead of talking about this minor stuff and getting emotional over them and saying, no, but I don't like this, but you shouldn't, you should have taken the one that I like. But come on, bro. It's time you started being rational and stop being emotional all the time. If you like this video, hit the thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.